All right, everybody, welcome back. I'm so excited about this deep dive because we're talking about something that feels straight out of science fiction.
Yeah.
Mind-reading AI.
Yeah.
Our listeners sent in so much fascinating stuff on this topic.
Right. Like,
It's crazy to see that this isn't just some futuristic fantasy anymore. It's like,
it's happening.
it's happening now. It's really
Like,
happening.
really happening.
So
Yeah.
we got to dive into this, right?
Mhm.
Like, scientists are already using AI to translate brainwaves
It's wild.
into actual words and images,
Yeah.
like decoding thoughts.
It really is. I mean, I remember when I first heard about this research, I was blown away.
Can you explain how this is even possible? Is it like magic or something?
Well, no, haha, not magic, but it might as well be.
Uh-huh.
It's all about understanding the electrical activity in our brains.
Okay.
So every time we think or feel or even imagine something, it creates a unique pattern of electrical signals.
Right.
And scientists have figured out ways to measure these patterns, like using EEG with electrodes on the scalp or fMRI that tracks blood flow in the brain.
So that's how they capture the brain activity. But how does AI come into play?
So these AI systems are trained on massive amounts of data, like huge data sets of brain activity patterns.
Hmm.
They basically learn to recognize and connect these patterns to specific words, pictures, and even emotions.
So it's like the AI is learning the language of the brain.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it.
But how accurate is all of this? Like, are we talking about reading minds completely, like every single thought,
Oh,
or
hold on. It's not quite like that yet, thankfully.
usually? Yeah.
It's not like we can just plug into someone's head and know everything they're thinking.
Okay, good.
At least not yet. But it's more about recognizing those patterns
Right.
associated with specific types of thoughts, intentions.
Gotcha.
For example, there was this experiment that used fMRI to measure brain activity while people looked at images. And afterwards, the AI was actually able to reconstruct those images just from the brain data.
Wow.
It wasn't perfect, but the images were recognizable.
That's amazing.
It really is, and the accuracy of these systems is improving all the time with new algorithms and ways of analyzing brainwaves.
Okay. So it's not perfect, but it's getting better
Right.
fast. So what are the big potential benefits of all this? I mean, I know a lot of our listeners are super interested in how this could help people with disabilities.
Absolutely. That's one of the most exciting areas.
Yeah.
Think about it. Someone with locked-in syndrome who can't communicate at all,
Right.
suddenly they could use this technology to express their thoughts and feelings.
Yeah.
It could be completely life-changing, and not just for medical applications.
Right.
We could use this tech to interact with computers in new ways, control prosthetics, even create unbelievably immersive video games.
Oh, man, imagine that.
I know. The possibilities are
Endless.
limitless.
Okay, but we also got to talk about the potential downsides because this is powerful technology.
Absolutely.
The stuff our listeners sent in, it mentions tech giants pouring money into developing this.
Yeah.
And not all of their motives are
Exactly.
not purely altruistic.
Right.
There's a lot of talk about mind-reading surveillance
Yeah.
and AI-powered brain hacking. I mean, those phrases alone sound kind of dystopian.
It's not just science fiction anymore, though.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Governments could monitor citizens' thoughts for signs of dissent. Corporations could corporations could use this to analyze consumer reactions
Wow.
or even manipulate buying behavior. Like, imagine a world where job interviews involve brain scans
Oh, my God.
to assess your real feelings about the company.
That's a whole other level
It's
of
a lot to consider.
stressful. Yeah.
For sure.
So where do we draw the line? I mean, at what point does this tech go from being helpful to a straight-up invasion of privacy?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? We have to start talking about ethical guidelines and regulations now before this technology gets out of hand.
Yeah.
If AI can potentially get into our deepest thoughts and feelings,
Right.
the stakes are incredibly high.
It makes you think about what it even means to think anymore. You know? Like if our thoughts are no longer totally private, does it change our relationship with our own minds? What do you think about all this? Like what stands out to you the most in all of this research?
Honestly, it's just how fast this technology is developing. Like, it's mind-blowing
Yeah,
and a little scary, to be honest.
for sure.
We really need to have a serious public conversation about all of this. Like, what are the potential benefits and the risks? We have to be proactive about shaping how this technology is used because it could be a powerful tool for good,
Right.
but it could also control us if we're not careful.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If AI can read our thoughts, does that change what it means to think at all?
Right.
And what happens to the idea of free will when our innermost thoughts are no longer totally our own?
Big questions.
Big questions.
Yeah.
This is heavy stuff. So much to think about. Well, that's our deep dive on mind-reading AI. It's a double-edged sword, for sure, with amazing possibilities, but also some serious risks.
It is.
The choices we make now will have a huge impact on the future, so let's keep this conversation going.
Definitely.
Thanks for listening, everyone, and a special shout-out to our listeners for sending in all those thought-provoking materials. Until next time.
See ya.
Bye.